Bro, I want to see him go against Cormier and RAF. That's what I want to see.
Are you gonna do it,
bro?
Bro, I have severe arthritis, and most people don't know that. My left hip is covered in arthritis.
Damn.
I actually already qualified for a hip replacement.
Oh shit.
My last training camp, dude, I went to bed in so much pain.
Well, UFC gonna cover it though, 100%.
I have a 3-year-old baby boy, and I want to use what I got left with my hips, play with his ass.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Alright, so Jon Jones unknowingly confessed that he's suffering from severe arthritis in his hip, and honestly, when I first heard him say this, I was pretty doubtful on if he was telling the truth, but watching that video of him playing flag football definitely made me a believer. It's been pretty obvious for a while now that the absolute final fight of Jon's career would be if he's put on the White House card, but even if he does make it onto the card, I'm wondering on how his body's going to hold up after another fight camp, because in his own words, he's already been qualified for a full hip replacement. And according to Dana, the UFC matchmaking team has already begun working on the White House card lineup, and apparently they expect to be done by mid-February, which is in a week, so I guess we'll find out pretty soon if Dana holds his ground on not putting Jon on the event. Wait, did I say Dana? My bad, because Dana also confessed under oath that he has nothing to do with the operations of the UFC anymore, and he's just there for the vibes or something, and yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about all this and more.
It is true, I do have arthritis, and the kid that leaked that was an absolute asshole. I was talking to some guys in Confidential, and he had one of those metal glasses on like myself, and he ended up posting that. That wasn't for everybody to hear.
Okay, you guys know me, I hate Jon Jones. I feel confident in saying that I hate Jon Jones more than most Jon Jones haters. But as much as I hate this dude, my integrity is more important, thus I gotta admit, Jon is in the right here. It was, in fact, an asshole move out of that dude to record him without his knowledge. It is an asshole move under any circumstance to record someone without them knowing, especially when they use those stupid meta glasses to do it. I don't blame Jones for being pissed off at how his hip situation was unveiled to the world. The guy thought he was having a private conversation. This is much like how Tom Aspinall released the footage of Daniel Cormier talking shit about the UFC heavyweight division, or how Kamaru Usman recorded his conversation with Anthony Joshua after his car accident. It is not cool to post videos of people online who don't reasonably think they're already being recorded. Trust me, I don't like it at all that I'm defending Jon Jones of all people, but the internet has made people way too obsessed with clout farming to the point where we have grown adults moving like teenage girls. Regardless, this is an interesting development to the Jon Jones saga. I mean, it makes sense that his body is beginning to break down considering how long his career has spanned. But you know what? If we needed any further confirmation that Jon ducked Tom Aspinall throughout the entirety of 2024 and half of 2025, then this is it right here. Jon admitted that he was experiencing a lot of pain during his training camp with Stipe as a result of his hip, and there is no doubt in my mind that Jones didn't want to fight Tom knowing that he's physically compromised. Oh, but Tom was losing to Cyril Gane up until the eye poke. Jon would have killed Tom. Okay, then he should have fought him. Jon demanded $30 million to fight Tom. The UFC accepted his offer, and then Jon pulled out of the fight. Maybe he would have beaten Tom had they fought sometime last year, but clearly Jon didn't want the fight. And if you think that Jon can beat Tom even in present day, then you won't hear too much debate from me, because I think that Jon can pull it off even with his bad hip. But the Jon Jones bootlickers who desperately cling on to this idea that he didn't blatantly duck Aspinall, much like he did Francis Ngannou, are so insane to me. Oh, Jones is the GOAT, he doesn't have to fight Aspinall if he doesn't want to. Then he shouldn't have verbally accepted the fight in the first place. I have been watching the sport for 18 years now, and I swear there has never been a fan base that will do more mental gymnastics to justify their favorite fighter's actions than Jon Jones fans. Yes, even more so than Conor fans, and even more so than Khabib fans. Look, if you're still a fan of Jon in the Big 2-6, I'm not going to say that you're dumb or anything, but I am going to question your sense of judgment a little bit. I agree that the early part of his career is as respectable as it gets, but the second half of his career has been a train wreck. Since his first win over DC, he's ducked 2 fighters, he's been stripped of the title 3 times, he's had 4 PED controversies, and I have lost track of how many times he's been arrested. And if you're one of those people that are able to somehow overlook his criminal history because you try to separate the fighter from the person or whatever, then very well, but how about the ducking and the drug test failures? Because I feel like that's directly tied to his fighting. People still give TJ Dillashaw shit for failing 1 drug test, rightfully so, but there is still a big portion of fans that give Jon a pass after he's failed 4, and I don't know how he's still able to fool people into thinking he's some sort of valiant man of God, but his teammates have been calling him out for being fake for well over a decade.
Because you know why?
I won't.
Your fabric is fake.
My fabric is
You're
fake.
fake.
Tell me how my fake was shot.
I'm not gonna get into that right here, but
Okay.
you know I know.
Tell me how my fake
You
was
know
shot.
I know.
You know, I know that you know?
Oh yeah.
So tell me
Because I see
something.
you in life.
Please, so tell me
I see you
something.
in life.
Why
You can
my fake
put, you
was
can
shot?
sit up here.
Why am I
You can
fake?
sit up here and put on the holy, oh, John, I'm this and I believe in this and that. But I see
I
you
do
in life.
believe.
I see you in life.
I do believe. What are you talking about? Me being a Christian?
You,
am I not,
your
am I
life,
not perfect,
the way you
Rashad?
live, the way you live.
Do I
The
need
way
to
you
be
live.
perfect, Rashad, to be a
John.
Christian now?
No, you don't need to be perfect, but at least you can do this.
Be who you say you are.
Let's say that Jon does get put on the White House card. Now that his secret is out, whoever his hypothetical opponent ends up being would be an idiot not to target his hip. Actually, now that I think about it, knowing the type of competitor he is, I'm wondering if he's even going to keep pushing to be on the card now that his Achilles hip is common knowledge to fans and fighters alike. Jon's identity as a fighter is that he has very few, if any, true weaknesses, and the fact that his body is starting to break down opens up a window of opportunity to his opponents that he can't do anything about. It's not like he can get a hip replacement, rehab from it, then do a full training camp in the next 4 months, so his options seem to be accept to fight knowing full well that his body is compromised or just not fight at all. Given he did fight with a bad hip against Stipe, but I'm assuming that the arthritis has only gotten worse since December 2024. Moreover, I would argue that old-ass Stipe's body was probably more worn down than Jon's was at that point. I'm sure that in Jon's perspective, the idea of him taking on Tom Aspinall or Alex Pereira is a much scarier thought, especially with him knowing that they know that he has a bad hip. On a related note, I can't help but notice that Jon hasn't been very vocal about fighting at the White House like he was a couple of months ago. He went from begging Dana to let him on the card every single time that he was in front of a camera to going radio silent on the topic, and I'm wondering if the arthritis has gotten bad enough to the point where he can't even train, let alone do a full fight camp with it. I mean, if that video of him running is indicative of his physical condition, it wouldn't surprise me if I was right. Dude looked like Forrest Gump when he first learned how to run.
I think I could be done. I don't want to be one of these fighters that win some and lose some and can't remember what your name is, and like
all this hating aside, Jon really doesn't have anything left to prove. He will go down as the best MMA fighter who has ever lived for a very, very long time. And I get that he's addicted to the attention and the fame that he gets from fighting, but his body is quite literally failing him. And if I were to give him some advice, then I'd say that he should probably stop drinking and doing drugs. He should take some anger management courses. Maybe he should look inside himself and come to terms with his sexuality. And this might be the right time to ride off into the sunset and begin his life after fighting. He has spun the wheel long enough, and I think that even the most devout Jon Jones fans can agree that putting his war-torn body through another training camp just for a glorified circus fight isn't going to make or break his career, assuming that Dana even allows it to happen. Nah, just kidding. Dana doesn't do shit anymore, and that's not me making a grandiose assumption. He straight up admitted in a courtroom under oath that when it comes to fighter negotiations, he said, and I quote, "I don't really do that anymore." He said this to the judge overseeing the UFC's antitrust lawsuit, and I gotta say, guys, I am shocked. You're telling me that the guy who announces fights via Instagram livestream and 240p resolution isn't calling the shots anymore? The guy who barely shows up to media events and spends more time playing blackjack with kids half his age isn't fully committed to the UFC? I'm finding it hard to wrap my head around the idea that the owner of Power Slap and Zuffa Boxing is somehow not fully tuned into what's happening with the UFC.
Dana is asked if he asked about adding arbitration clauses to contracts. Less than zero with contracts, assumingly meaning that he has nothing to do with the contracts at all, and he hasn't for a while. These cases, if I'm not mistaken, stem from fighters that fought from 2017 and onward, and from what he's saying, he has had nothing to do with the contract since then.
Yeah, and inserting any types of clauses and anything that would be relevant to this upcoming litigation.
To the point where fighters are reaching out to him to try and talk to him, like the boss man. Every time they're in the post-fight pressers, they're in the post-fight speeches, they're always referencing to Dana. They're always going up to him after the fights. When actually, like, if you do that, he's just like, no, bro, talk to Hunter.
I have said this before on this channel, and there is always a group of people that have argued against it in the comments, but guys, Dana is not UFC Jesus. Even at the height of his UFC power, he was just the matchmaker. The high-level decisions weren't being made by him. The Fertitta brothers always had way more influence than he did inside of the company. Even when it comes to them buying out the UFC in 2001, Dana conveniently likes to throw in the term we. Like, who the fuck is we? You didn't have two nickels to rub together in 2001. That's not to say that I don't think Dana put in the work to make the UFC what it is today, because there really is something to be said about someone who believed in a company that was hemorrhaging money, but we need to stop acting like this guy single-handedly pulled the UFC out of the hole that it was in. The Fertitta's money plus their mob connections did all the heavy lifting. I don't want to say that Dana was just the public-facing mouthpiece for the UFC, but I will say that during the Fertitta era, Dana did a better job at promoting himself than he did the fighters, because he was able to convince the world that he was doing everything behind the scenes. I mean, even when it comes to matchmaking, Dana found Sean Shelby in 2003, who ended up doing a lot of the negotiations himself. And then, of course, when Endeavor bought the UFC in 2016, Hunter Campbell stepped in, and over the years, it's become more and more apparent that he's really the guy that's been running the show. In Dana's own words, Campbell basically runs the whole business side of the fight game. So again, I ask you this, what is Dana actually doing at the UFC these days? The answer is next to nothing. To be fair to Dana, I do think that because of the faith that he had in the business in its early days, he probably does deserve a cushy job where he gets paid to just be the face of the company, but people need to wake up. This guy kind of won the lottery with the UFC. He was friends with the Fertitta since high school, which is how they even knew that he existed. He took on zero financial liability when they purchased the UFC, and within 2 years of being the matchmaker, he found a better matchmaker in Sean Shelby to do his job for him. The UFC needed his brash attitude to help make a name for themselves, and I will not argue that there was a period of time where he was fiercely passionate about the company, and in that sense, he did his job very well. But people need to accept the fact that the myth of Dana White being the guy that made the UFC into what it is today isn't nearly as truthful as reality indicates. Anyways, that is the video for today. Definitely let me know what you think about Jon and Dana. Do you think that Jon ends up fighting at the White House? And what do you even think Dana does, if anything, for the UFC these days? As always, if you like the video, then like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Jon Jones, DC, with Jon Jones' friend now.
Me?
Yeah.
No. Jon Jones only talks shit to me. All he do is talk shit to me.
I do talk a little.
That's all he do is talk shit.